shock. I'd been away for 10 years, and things had changed, and yet they had not changed, and the difference was quite substantive. In addition to which, I didn't return to India to spend time on the shop floor, so I didn't really understand what was being done, and several times during that period of time, I thought of going back to the US and pursuing my career as an architect. Mainly because there were many contenders for, not many, a handful of contenders for that position from his own team of people. And it happened very suddenly, and you begin to feel that a leader, he was there for 50 plus years as chairman, and you start to believe that somebody's immortal and that he's going to be there perpetually. So when he calls you in and says this is what he wants to do, it shakes you up, and suddenly you feel all alone.
Right.
I had two problems. One were the actual market problems of a large business house that had operated very traditionally, and the other was internal to the company of several titans, if you might, who didn't want any change to take place, and I guess a certain amount of resentment also. So the first 5 years were akin to Clint Eastwood, if you might, which tended to be filled with trying to get these elderly, very prominent people out of the way. It was not done with bullets. It was done with persuasion and I'm sorry to say, with money. So the first 5 years were spent in creating an environment where change was possible. And then I've been blessed with an organization that has been displaying considerable spirit in wanting to make a change. And many things that we did had not been done before, but I was always pleased to see that the response from the organization was tremendous. Without that, it could not have been done. Difficult, and then to some extent, I would have to humbly say that I failed. One of the first promises I made publicly was that we'd rationalize the group and reduce the number of businesses and reduce the number of companies. I often talk about the first thing that I did with great gusto, which was to get us out of the soaps and toiletry business, which didn't seem to fit. And I ran headlong into an issue of what were we doing? We were getting rid of a company that had second and third generation employees. It was an unheard of thing, and who was this person who was making change for the sake of change?
Right.
And I got attacked from all quarters. The media attacked me, the stock market attacked me, and of course there was a resentment from within the company as to which company would follow now after this. The net result was a new chairman so keen to succeed and not wishing to have failure, suddenly being bombarded from all quarters. There was no second company that got sold.
Right.
And I put my tail between my legs and tried to look at other forms of growing.
Right.
Seeing myself that it would work is a judgment call in terms of the faith you put in your people to do this. And case in point was on the Indica. Conventional wisdom said that you couldn't enter the car business without having a collaboration, and certainly to think of designing a car domestically and producing it was an unheard of thing. My friends as we launched the car, started to distance themselves from me.
Right.
And it wasn't for me, it was to distance themselves from failure.
Right.
And it was the trust one had in the young team to put this together that drove it. The other is that from time to time, I think change has caused a lot of people in the company to question the wisdom that such a change would be based on.
Right.
And I've been lucky, and in some cases it's been difficult, but by and large, India's a country that has such a great potential that change is, by and large, well received.
Right. And
Positive about the new India. Right. And I've been saddened by the fact that after several years of very progressive growth, there's been a stumbling activity that has been a country driven by accusations of corruption, not wrong, rightly so, crony capitalism, and a government that has withdrawn its pace of growth.
right.
At the same time, I feel that has bottomed out, and we're on a path again to grow. But we've got to rebuild. We've gone from an 8% plus growth rate down to sub 5 briefly.
Right.
We will grow back to the growth rate we had. We will need to control inflation, but I think India will, once again, the same spirit of the people will make it happen.
Right.